Welcome to another episode of Healing Her Halo, a women empowerment platform for women who've experienced trauma and the struggles of mental health. This is a safe space to gain guidance on how to navigate through the storms of life and how to stay present in the light when the sun shines again. Be sure to download, share, and subscribe so you can help heal another woman's halo. Now, here's your host, Patience Murray.
Hey, superwoman. I see you. Carrying the world on your shoulders and making it look easy, doing everything you possibly can for everyone else, while still somehow leaving yourself at the bottom of the list, if you're even on that list at all, putting your dreams last, putting you last. But this season is your season, and I want you to take the pen of your life and rewrite your story. I'm building a community of women, of writers, of authors, of women survivors who have a powerful story to tell and who want to take authority and tell their stories with power and purpose. And I want to help you get connected with other women. And sometimes you have to borrow the faith of other women sometimes, especially those women who are operating in their power and in their authority. And sometimes you just need to get in proximity with the women who are doing it. So that's what AuthorHER is about. And I'm so excited to share that with you this season. We're going to be focused more on female authors and women with powerful, uplifting, inspiring, and encouraging stories to tell. And if you feel like you are a woman, a survivor who qualifies in one of those areas, please reach out to me at Healing Her Halo on Instagram, and I would be so happy to hear more about your story and have you on the show. So at the beginning of each episode, I'm going to be focused on featuring a book by a woman who I am extremely inspired by as a writer. And the first author that I'm going to feature on Healing Her Halo this season is Emily Ley. Her book, Growing Boldly, has been extremely helpful to me in the season, and it's extremely helpful for any woman who is in the process of becoming an entrepreneur or in the process of going after that God dream, that big dream that you know God has for you, but you may be a little afraid. You may have some anxiety. You may feel some imposter syndrome about walking and operating in that. But a part of the intention behind this AuthorHER season for Healing Her Halo is about owning it, owning your story, owning the value that you bring, owning the power that you can give others, knowing that your story is valuable, knowing that you are valuable and worthy. So I'm going to read a couple sentences from this book because I absolutely love it. And this is available wherever books are sold. So just a huge shout out to Emily Ley, and also shout out to my friend Yasmin, who actually gifted me this book. So let's grow boldly together in this episode today. Chapter 1. Call out the lies and face the fears. It starts with a quote by Charles Bukowski. Can you remember who you were before the world told you who you should become? We could just marinate on that this entire episode, and just all of the value I feel like is in that quote right there. So thank you so much for putting that on the very first page. But it goes on to say, to believe unapologetically and wholeheartedly in who you are, you have to know the girl we're talking about. You have to get to know you, the real you, the one buried deep down. And to get to her, we have to dig her out. Strip away the lies and untruths and fears you've been barricading yourself behind so that you can truly blossom. Some are obvious, some not so much. Some lies are so subtle yet so powerful that they're like tiny chains attached to our ankles, holding us back from taking that right next step forward. And yet, they've been there so long, we don't even feel their grip, the bruises, the indentations they've left. Look at your wrists, your ankles. What chains, big or small, are attached there? Let's work together to name them, to call them out, and strip away whatever power they have over you. The key to the lock on those chains, it's in your heart. I love that. in your words. When you identify the lies you've been telling yourself about who you are, out loud, you turn the key, release the lock, and step out of their stronghold. A little blurb from Growing Boldly from Emily Lay. Love that. Absolutely love that. There's so much to unpack within that. And I just want to take a pause. And they're about the little tiny chains, the lies, the doubts, the fears that are attached to our ankles and our wrists, keeping us hostage, keeping us held, a slave to a former version of ourselves that we no longer are. And one of the practical tools that you can take to author your story, to take authority and author and rewrite your story, to reprogram your mind for success, to reprogram your heart for healing, is repetition and pinpointing those areas that you're struggling with, creating an affirmation around that area, and driving that point home until you believe it. And I'm speaking from experience, not from theory. So for me, I've been on my own journey of healing. And for many, many years, it felt like it was a never-ending journey. It felt like I was never going to see any results. It felt like I was never going to make any progress. It felt like I was always going to be a survivor forever. And let me unpack that. So a survivor, always barely making it, always barely getting by, is kind of like how I viewed myself, as somebody that was always going to be struggling emotionally, always going to be responding to everything, always going to be reacting to everything, always going to be dealing with PTSD, always going to be reacting to the sounds, always going to be reacting to the triggers, and never fully living present, enjoying my life. But I have news for you, superwoman of your own. I was able to rewire many parts of my brain just from showing up and repetitively repeating the affirmations around the areas that I was struggling with. Looking in the mirror, saying, I am healed. I am loved. I show up consistently. I am disciplined. And a huge part of healing is showing up for yourself. And I know a lot of times, like, we want to be out in the world and we want to produce and we want to be seen. But the first step is showing up. And the first step before that is showing up for yourself. And if you can't show up for yourself, it's really hard to take those steps externally, because we know deep down inside that we've been letting ourselves down in our own journey. But superwoman, I want to empower you and I want to encourage you today that once you start taking those steps for yourself and once you start showing up for yourself, it makes it a lot easier for you to produce and show up externally. Okay? You have the power to rewrite your story. You have the pen in your hand right now to say what's going to happen next. Not only are you the star in your movie, but you're the director. So you get to decide what scenes are going to play out next. So you write it, you direct it. Don't be a passive supporting character in your own story. So what ideas do you have inside of you? Even if it's about your healing, what have you been wanting to do? What have you been wanting to try? What have you been wanting to commit to? And maybe you've created excuse after excuse as to why you can't. You don't have enough time to do the affirmations. You don't have enough time to journal. You don't have enough time to read. But at some point, and there comes to a point where you absolutely have to decide, what's it going to be? Are you going to stay like this forever, or are you going to make a change? There comes a point when you have to decide within yourself, am I going to make a change, or am I going to stay unhealed, sad, depressed forever? Am I going to do the work? This person is saying it worked for them. Mirror work, breath work, all the works that they're saying worked for them. So am I going to work the work and allow the work to work for me? Or am I just going to allow myself to continue to wallow in my shame, wallow in my sadness, wallow in my depression? For me, I had to make that choice. And I had to make that choice not just for me, but for my son, for my family. Becoming a mom changed a lot in me because I realized that it was either I was going to do the work or I wasn't going to do the work. Either I was going to get the progress or I wasn't going to get the progress. Either I was going to be the mom that my son needed me to be, or I was going to continue to allow myself to fail myself and him. So, as much as you have a lot on your plate already, and I know you're a superwoman, you have a lot on your plate. A lot of us are carrying other people's stuff. And I know you are too. I know there's somebody in your life right now that as soon as you open your eyes, you're probably going to have a text from them of them dumping their problems on you, and you have to go save them in their situation. But you have to know that no one is coming to save you. So while you're saving everybody else, you have to remember to show up as the hero in your own story. And for those of us who have faith and we believe in God, of course, Jesus saves and God shows up for us every single time, for sure. But we can't rely on people to show up for us in the same way that we show up for them. So at what point are you going to start redirecting some of that energy back into yourself? Because if you don't take care of you, you're not going to be able to take care of anybody else. You're not going to be able to show up for that baby. You're not going to be able to show up for that business. You're not going to be able to show up for your book that you're writing. You're not going to be able to show up for any version of what you're doing. So take the pen, take the power back, rewrite your story, author your story, get in the driver's seat of your life and start making some choices, some tough choices. But most importantly, make the choice to do the work, because you don't get the results without the work. And I know a lot of people in different industries are preaching this, get results overnight strategies, and you'll become a millionaire in 2 days if you do this. Or you'll be, unstoppable, unshakable confidence in 20 days if you do this. But nothing replaces the work. And you really have to have patience with yourself. And you have to know that anything worth going after is worth putting in the time for. And if you're going to get there anyway, if you know that God has got you covered, if you know that God has a solution to the problem before the problem was ever created, and as long as you focus on how big God is, and as long as you focus on the fact that God had a plan for you before you were ever put on this earth, you will know that it's worth the work. So take that pen, author your story. Now, if you are interested in being a part of the AuthorHER community, being surrounded by other women, aspiring authors, female authors who have books already published, and you want to be in a community of support where you can bring that book to life or actually get your book done. Maybe you have pieces and bits and pieces of your book here and there in different journals from over the years, maybe even decades, of just ideas and value that you have that is just sitting there collecting dust. Or maybe you're somebody who has your book completely written, it's already done, and you just need to know how to get it out into the world and the strategy for that. I want you to comment AuthorHER on this video, and I'll send you some information and a link to be a part of our 4-week intensive that's coming up. And I don't want you to miss it. So if you are a woman who wants to author her story and rewrite her story and put it in book form, I have a community for you. I have value for you that I want you to take advantage of immediately before the new year. And some of us right now, and it's the holidays, right? So we're getting ready for Thanksgiving, which is tomorrow. And I want you to know that sometimes when we're around family, or we're going to be around, people that we haven't seen in a really long time, and they might look at you as a version of yourself that you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago. You have to remind yourself, especially when you are in scenarios where people are going to look at you as that version And let me rephrase this. Let me put this in the right way. But when you are in situations, especially for the holidays, where you are around family and friends and maybe old friends, and they're looking at you as a version of yourself that you were the last time that they saw you, you have to remember, even in those moments, to own your growth, own your story, own the fact that you get to rewrite your story at any time. And you get to show up as the version of yourself that you want to be. And you get to operate in that. And you don't allow other people to project their perception of you onto you if it's not in alignment with what God says about you. So I know it's tough sometimes with the holidays. You might have some family friction. There might be some loss that you guys are dealing with right now because maybe there's people that aren't in the picture from before. But I want to tell you that no matter what you're dealing with, what you're feeling right now, that you have the power to uplift yourself, to encourage yourself, even in those moments when it's difficult. Do not give up on yourself. Do not give up on your healing journey. You got this. You got this, Superwoman. And I see you. I see you, and I encourage you to pick up that pen. Don't stay in the depression. Don't stay in the sadness. Don't stay in the grief. You pick up your pen and you actually write. If you need to, you get a journal. And you write your feelings, you write your pain, you write your ideas down, whatever it is that you're experiencing right now in this season, especially with the seasonal depression that can sometimes happen. Get in your journal heavy, because getting that out of you will allow you to show up lighter. So that's just one practical takeaway. If you're dealing with something heavy right now, journal it out. Journal it out, scream on the pages if you have to, but get it out of you. So when you do show up in front of your family and you do show up in situations where you feel like a little under a little bit of pressure, or you feel like you're operating in a situation where people may not see the growth that you have done, you already got it out. So you get to show up as the version of yourself that you want to be. Okay? Author your story. Take authority over your story. Don't just be the star in your movie. Be the writer of the script. Be the director of the scenes. You got this. So, again, if you want to be a part of the AuthorHER community, comment AuthorHER under this video, and I will make sure that you get all the information. And if you're listening to this on podcast streaming platforms, just make sure to, if you want, go over to @HealingHerHalo on Instagram and comment on my last post, AuthorHER, and I will send you more information about being a part of our community. So I'm really excited about this season of Healing Her Halo. And this episode was really just to set the intention and let you guys know the direction that we're heading in. So women with powerful stories to tell, authors, women who've taken their stories and they've put it out there in a way for others to really benefit from and gain value and glean wisdom from their stories and experience. And if that's something that you want to do with your story, if that's something that you aspire to, I'm creating a community for us. And now I'm an author as well, but I'm in the process of writing my second book. And since my first book, I've become a mom and a full-time mom. I was already operating as a stepmom, but now I have a full-time little baby that's in the house. And I'm balancing a full-time hustle, and I'm balancing music, my music career, and I'm balancing so many things. And I realize how difficult it is to actually write a book when you're dealing with so many things. And I didn't realize this so much before, but why women, especially women, even women celebrities were reaching out to me like, how did you write and publish your book? And I didn't understand the question so much in the beginning, because I was just like, I just wrote it. I just took out the time and I wrote it. But when you start to add layers into your life, and that's why I'm calling you Superwoman, because you are Superwoman, dealing with this, dealing with that, wearing this hat and this hat, and carrying everything all at the same time. When are you actually going to find time to write your book? When are you actually going to find time to understand how to publish your book if you haven't done? Sometimes we go so long just from thinking about what we want to do, thinking mode, that we never really get into execution mode. So what AuthorHER community is about is helping you get into execution mode, helping you write your story, helping you publish your story, and make sure that you get it out there in a way that people will be able to know your story and connect with you and find inspiration, hope, and maybe you could be the solution to someone's problem. Okay? So maybe you're not just going to author your story, but your story may help someone else author theirs. Okay, I'm really excited for this season of Healing Her Halo. I'm excited for the women that we're going to have on the show. I'm excited for the powerful stories that we're going to hear. And I'm excited for the transformation that's going to take place in the AuthorHER community. So I wanted to wish you all a happy holidays. And as you are with your family, make sure you get your journaling in. Make sure you get those emotions out. And journal the good times too. Journal the good times too. Gratitude list heavy. Gratitude list heavy this season. It's Thanksgiving, right? So make sure you take the time to get in your journal and list all the things that you're grateful for and thankful for in this season. And honestly, gratitude is the attitude, and it's the fastest track way for you to rewrite and author your story. Okay? So I'm excited for us. Let's go. We got this. You are Superwoman. I'm a Superwoman. And we got this. And that's it. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and I hope that everything that you've pulled from this episode was helpful. And if it is, make sure you let me know in the comments or leave a review on this podcast. Until next time.
Thank you for listening. Please follow our social media at Healing Her Halo for more updates. Also, be sure to share with a friend who needs a little spark put back in her halo today.